Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Wrong End of the Snake. Steve Wood has graciously agreed to come back and spend another 30 minutes with us. We were just talking offline a little bit how we could have gone another 4 hours with you, Steve. You have such a incredible past history and so much knowledge to share with us. We're so grateful that you're here. So we, in our typical wrong end of the snake fashion, we're going to spend another 30 minutes with you if you can. And there were some questions that people had as we were speaking to you in the normal episode, as well as, as you were talking, both Tater and I were writing down notes going, well, I want to talk about that again. And so Tater, I know that you had a couple of questions. Why don't you throw a question to Steve there?
Yeah, and these questions are a combination of people that watched questions along. I'm going to change them up just a bit. But Steve, first of all, I'd like to thank you again. And we spent a lot of time, and your career is so vast, not only vast, when you got into the business to now, the touring industry was evolving. You were evolving with that. And it was such a great time back then to see the infancy to what it is now, what it's become. And not only that, to see it to help shape it. So anyway, we do this to help out the younger crew people in their quest to become better engineers, crew people, whatever the job is. And dealing in trying to be that person, that better person, you have to deal with management, right? And you're here and you're our manager, so let's ask some questions. So really, when you were doing your budgets and all that stuff, and you have to go and hire people and the pay ranges and how you're going to hire those people, and negotiating, and I got to admit, a Steve Wood negotiation is one of the funner negotiations there is. But maybe for a younger person, it's very intimidating. So, and I'm glad that you're the manager we're asking, because you have the crew knowledge. You didn't start out as the manager. You worked your way up and you knew all the, all the stuff. So I think you're the best person out there to ask this. And you make it unintimidating. You make it fun, but it is a business and you have to get your point across. How do you work those? What any advice for the younger generation of crew coming up that have to deal with management or business agents, let's go even say that, to get the job and to get a salary and get the specifics worked out?
Okay. Well, it all begins with how much the band is making, and you have to start there. So once you have a sense of what the gross, what they intend to make, then you have a basis from where to begin. And then you have to work out all the expenses to come up with a number, what the band may take home or may lose. It really depends. And in many cases, lose is the end result, especially at the beginning. Today, I don't know how a new band even begins, because
I don't either.
You're right. But as for negotiating rates, first of all, most importantly, you have to know what the industry standards are, and you can only know that if you're in it. And so you have to have it sort of ingrained in you what's going on out there and what people's values are. Now, for example, I know that musicians have absolutely no inkling of value of what people make. And if they know, sometimes they're shocked.
Yep.
I mean, and I'm talking about musicians who remain nameless, who are deeply wealthy. Yeah, but if they had some clearer understanding, what a guy's like a guitar tech, if he's making 25 or 3,000, it's like outrageous to them. But
interesting.
So it's true. A lot of them have no knowledge at all. And most managers who have not come up the way I did just look at the bottom right corner of a budget, and that's the bit that says what they're going to make. I mean, they go right down there and see that. But in my case, I know what I can spend. I know what your value is, and I look at it like this: if you're talking to me, or I'm talking to you, I know you can do the job. So that's number one. You're already there. So you're already great at what you do, or I wouldn't be talking to you, right? And so I kind of know where I can go, and I kind of know where I can't. And so in a case like you, I want what you guys, both of you, bring, which is A-list quality, no question, right? I am strapped by what the budget is sometimes, and in certain cases, I will rob Peter to pay Paul.
Ah.
And my philosophy has always been, I don't care so much about a company. They can wait, they can pay less, they can whatever. People, no, they have to get paid. People need to put food on the table. And I want from you guys is when the shit hits the fan. And for that, we need to pay the best top dollar or the best we can. The companies, sure, I negotiate all day long with them. And one of the beauties, if you work with a big company like when I was with Azov, I could keep giving them business. You see?
And you're talking about vendors when you say companies.
Yeah, vendors, right. You keep giving them business, and that's what they want, right? Mm-hmm. So I could negotiate all day long and undercut them, fine, because they know I'm going to keep coming back. But with people...
It's the long game, what you're saying with companies. It's the long game, not the short game. With people,
absolutely.
It's the immediate game, yeah.
But for people like yourselves, I want what you bring, and I'm going to fight to get that. And like I said, if I have to rob Peter to pay Paul, I'm going to do it, because that's what makes a tour, is its crew, its people. They're the most important. I mean, look, a truck is a box with wheels, and so is a bus. You know what I mean? A light is a light with a gel on it. I mean, we could go down this road, you know, I mean, a speaker is a speaker. But you get the point, right?
Yes.
The people is what make this. And so my heart and my brain are with you guys. And that's because I was one of them.
Yeah. And so in saying that, that was such a great answer, and you said so much in there. If somebody really listens to what you said, there's a lot of info in there, maybe tucked in a little bit, but it's all there. And dealing how, and also is, we'll say, is no guitar tech, no matter how long they've been with the band, let's say, or what other people hear, the ranges of all the jobs.
Sure.
Guitar tech. So if the best salary of a guitar tech out there is let's just say $2,000 a year. We know it's not, but let's just say that. And the median salary is $1,500 and the low salary is $750 to $1,000. I don't care how long you've been with the band. Nobody's paying a guitar tech $8,000 a week. We all know that, right? Every job has a top and a bottom limitation, right? It just is what it is.
Absolutely right.
And you're not going out. Nobody's going outside those boxes, really. There's always an exception. I get it, but the norm for that, those ranges, and we should know those ranges also. Correct?
Yes, you should.
Yeah. So you need to do your homework. And another thing it brought up to me is, you said if I'm calling you, I can do the job. How can a newer person get through to you and tell them, man, Steve, I can do this for you?
Because a guy like you, for example, will tell me that this guy.
Yeah.
See, look, I can't know everybody, but I know most people. I mean, I have to make a point here, which is extremely important. Running a tour is like a triangle. I'm sitting at the top and I have levels all the way below me, but they all have to work in sync to make this thing work. Yes, I have to report to somebody else, but that person pays me to tell him what to do, which is a kind of odd in a way, because if you don't want to do it, well, hey, that's up to you. But so I'm at the top and I come down to all you guys. I don't know how you do what you do. I haven't got the first idea, but I know a lot of people who do know what you do. And that's how it works. And so if you tell me, look, I can't do this, Steve, but I got a guy, I will research that guy. And if enough people say what you're saying, then I'm going to call him. And then we start the negotiation. And in that case, the the way it would work is for the opportunity to get into this lane is going to be reflected in a slight lack of income.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm giving you an opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. If you're going to the A-list guys like yourself, you know, and I know that if I don't call you, the phone's going to ring in 5 minutes and someone else is. I know that. And so as it's happened many times with you, Tater, many times, and you, Pooch. I mean, if you're me, you only want the best. And so you try and get it. You do. You try and get, because the best is the best. And so I try to get the best crew I can. And that's how it works.
And I always tell people, you know, this is a word of mouth business, period.
Totally.
So,
100%.
you know, you just confirmed it that, you know, the way to get these jobs is to know what your worth is. Right. And so when we've had these discussions before, Tater and I always tell younger guys that they need to discuss in their own peer group, whatever that means. So if you are mixing bands that are in the, you know, theater to club range, you need to talk to other guys in your range. You know, we get the question all the time, Tater and I do get the question of, you know, what should I be charging? And honestly, I don't know what a guy that mixes clubs should be charging right now. I don't know what that number is. So that guy needs to be talking to his peers to know what that number
100%.
is, so that you and that guy can have an honest, you know, conversation about that kind of stuff. So it's really clear, you guys that are out there, you know, and Steve just confirmed it, that you need to know your worth before you have a conversation with Steve. And then when Steve gives you an opportunity, if it's over and above anything that you have on your resume, you're going to be taking a pay cut to get there, right?
I'm going to jump in right here, and I have an example. The man I'm talking about will remain nameless, but he worked for the House of Blues, and he was the house monitor engineer. So this guy had mixed everybody and anybody, right? And I came to him with an opportunity to do global touring, which is like winning the lottery for him. Okay, but for that winning the lottery, he had to take a pay cut, but he got into the A-list game, and he took it willingly. And now he's right up there. He's he's a first call guy.
I will chime in on there. I just got him his latest gig, and he's doing great. And he is a fantastic engineer. So,
there you go.
You just proved we all know the same people.
Well, that's just it. And that is the real important part about this, is that if you get a name from somebody that you have not heard of before, and you make several phone calls to check on that person, and one of those phone calls is a bad report, your answer is, not even going to deal with that guy. I got one bad report about this kid.
That's tough.
And honesty is another one. You know, another one, which is, I never did this, excuse me, is leaving a tour before it ends.
Yes.
I mean, listen, we've all been there, and we all have reasons. The only time it ever happened to me was I was very close with Chris Cornell, and I was Soundgarden's tour manager in the heyday. And when Audio Slave began, I was actually tour managing Maxwell.
Right.
And Audio Slave began, and Chris said, I want Steve Wood. And so the firm who were representing them spoke to Maxwell, and it was this whole thing was going down to extract me from that tour. Because I'd never done that, because I believed that it would follow me, that, no, that guy, you know,
he leaves tours. Yeah, that guy leaves
the mercenary.
Tours. Yeah, right.
And I get it, but it follows you. It's an indelible stain sometimes. So you got to be really careful. It's a small business.
Now, on the flip side of that, Steve, do you care that one client has called me back 6 times? Is that an important thing for you? Like, oh, wow, that guy has done 4 tours with Linkin Park. That means that they keep wanting him back. Does that matter to you?
Well, it just tells me what I know, that you're the best at what you do. I mean, Linkin Park, I mean, there's a classic example of a band where money is not really much of it doesn't impede what they do.
Well, I don't know. Ask the business manager who's in jail right now. But anyway.
Well, that might explain a lot of things. But their spending was legendary, guys.
Yes.
And I know you were in the middle of it, but if you're me looking in on it, you would look in it aghast at some of the things I heard.
Yeah, of course.
But the fact that, to your question, because they call you, I would call you 4 times. It just confirms what I know. You know,
cool. I'm just saying,
you're good.
I was trying to use that as an example for maybe someone that you didn't know. Is that something, if you saw that on a resume, would that be something that you
longevity with it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
100%. 100%. You know, and again, want the best always.
I really hope some younger people are listening to this, because the last 15 minutes information you're not going to get from any manager on anything anywhere to find this stuff out. And it's seriously some valuable stuff to really help younger people in their careers.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, look, I've been fortunate, because if you think about it, you look at all the managers out there and they have their companies. To have a guy who's lived it being part of the building the touring process, like I did with Azov, it's a kind of a luxury in a way, if you can afford to have that guy. Most managers don't have that guy. And what they do is, and here's the difference, they hire a tour manager and a production manager. And what happens is those 2 guys now are in charge. Yeah. Because the manager doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to hear, nor does he need to. He just wants to know the answers for the how much am I going to make, really? And what happens is, and this is not being negative, what happens is those 2 guys now put the people they like in the positions they want. Okay. Mm-hmm. In my case, it was not that way. It was, I put the people that were best for the job into those positions, because the other one, they want to look out for when they come out later in life. They want a good, resume, or they want, you know what I'm saying? You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Yeah. And I say to my tour managers and production managers, look, I don't want you to manage the tour. I'm doing that. I'm going to give you who your vendors are. Yeah. I'm going to book all the travel. It's going to be done. And I'm going to give you a tour, and then you take it. I'm not interested in your negotiating skills. I am there's no place for it here. And that's a kind of a luxury to be in that position.
It is. But, for sure.
It's kind of a position that was needed for a long time, that intermediate between the band manager, who basically, especially years back, only kind of wanted to deal with the record money-making side, right? And the touring side, here you go, yuck, take it, Yep. And now that it's kind of gone to the touring, making the money, you got to have a pro in there in that middle in between the manager and the production manager or tour manager, right, to really make sure things are where they're supposed to be.
Well, that's why Paul Geary, who's my business partner, and I get on so well. We're 2 halves that join. And I may have said it on the last episode, but the way I present it is he says where we're going, and I get us there. And because he can't do what I do, and I definitely can't do what he does, but together it's a formidable team. And he wouldn't know how to get a plane to go. Simple stuff, but he doesn't need to.
Which is kind of, I don't want to say weird. It's kind of odd, because it's not like he was a manager that never toured. The guy was in a famous rock band. He's been on a bus before, right?
Yeah.
Someone's presented him a budget, right?
Yeah, but he now can let go of that because I'm there. And so together, that's how we do it. And like I said before, I told you that in our partnership, you don't hire a guard dog and then bark yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
And he knows that, and that's why it works so well. And so, but I like the fact that I am in that position. I've liked it for a long time, that I run those tours and I take the power, if you like, from those two positions that are used to having all the power. They're the gatekeepers. But I don't know if the word emasculate's the right word here, but I make it very clear that that side of what they know how to do is not of interest to me.
And that's a little bit different than how some other managers work in this business. You know, with my experience of being a production manager, there are some managers, like you say, that just go, all right, I'm hiring you to do it all. I want to know what we're going to make. Give me the bottom line. I want to know what the number in the right-hand corner is. Right. That's it. Yep. Don't give a shit. Everything else is on you. But I have experienced working with you as a production manager, and it feels great to have that kind of support from a manager that says, hey, I'm going to do all this shit for you. Here it is. Here's all this stuff. I need you to handle these things, but here's the tour, you know? So I prefer the way that you handle it.
But it's not arrogantly. It's a team.
No, that's right. I mean, it's not arrogant.
I always looked at you or people like you and Tater as all equals. I didn't see myself as up on high. It's not how I work. We're a team.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's really important.
Yeah.
And I never want you I never want anyone that's working to think I'm like that, because I'm not. And like I said, the thing I really want from the people I hire is when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, that's right.
That extra mile. Yeah, you can do the job. Well, you wouldn't be talking to me. Like I said, that extra mile, and trust me, it comes up every tour where I'm going to ask you to do things I really don't want to ask you, but I have no choice. And if I'm a dick, you may think twice about doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. You know, before we leave this whole budget conversation, I think that it's important. I think there's people, younger kids in this industry, that don't understand that the biggest line item in a budget is salary. And so it's something that you're constantly, it's in flux to try to figure it out, because that's the number that's going to decide whether a band is going to make money or not. That's a big influence, that particular line item. And I think the other part of that question is that there are many people that don't realize that a well-known act with several records may not be making any money. They may be out there and, you know, I mean, you and I have worked with a particular band that doesn't make a whole lot of money out there, but they tour and they work all the time. But they're on this edge, like they make a little bit money here. They don't make any money from this whole leg, but they make
never enough.
Yeah. So I just want people to understand. I don't think that your average guitar tech understands the ins and outs of that budget. And when they say, well, how come you're not paying me $1,750? You know, I'm worth that $1,750. And you say, well, listen, that $250 a week that you're trying to negotiate for is going to make my bottom line over the course of a year mean whether or not my band is going to make any dollars. So,
and just to jump in, the one thing that I can do when you work for a company that has multiple acts, as you can say, look, if this works, I have this, and this working. Right. Other people who are independent tour managers don't actually have the ability to say that. They can say, I'll think of you for it.
Yes.
Right. Which, you know, has about a 3-second shelf life.
Yes, it does.
I mean, let's be honest, right? You know? I mean, because they just want to get the job done. But I can actually, due to a roster, you know, continue to fill those positions. So work with me and I'll work with you.
So what is the, I've always wanted to ask this of a manager, what is the line between me pestering you every single week and calling you and going, hey, Steve, you got any work for me? And keeping my name at the top of your list.
Okay, I can answer you because I tell guys like you, don't be a stranger, call me. And I actually insist on it because I can tell you, look, I got a lot in my head like many people. And sometimes the last person you spoke to is the guy that gets the gig.
That's right.
As weird as that sounds. So I tell everybody, just call me. I will always take your call. See, I pride myself on that. I will always take the call because look, I have a list of hundreds of people, but sometimes the last guy I spoke to, and it just lines up that somebody else just called. I'm looking for this, and you just called me. Pooch is available. Tater's available. It's simple, as crazy as that. So I tell people to call me.
Well, there you go, guys out there that are listening. I mean, it's never, and I always tell people when a young kid asks me, well, I don't want to, pester them. I always say, listen, they will tell you. They will tell you if you are getting out of control with the calls. If you're calling them every single day, Steve will say to you, listen, I don't have any work. You're at the top of my list right now, but I don't have anything right now, So, but the flip side of that is to not let yourself be on, not recognized, not calling you is not the way to go either.
Call, be in my face. Remind me you're here. I like that. I want that. I ask that.
That's awesome.
So I want to get to this question because a few people asked, and I know it's going to be tough to answer, but I'd just like to get somewhat of your take here. So we're running out of got 8 minutes left. COVID, maybe post-COVID. Let's say we're out of it right now. We're going back to work, or maybe we're still at this time. What do you see? Our crew salaries, crew work? Is there going to be? What do you think? What's the what's the higher level talk, not the roadie talk?
Okay, first of all, the big money comes from AG, Live Nation, and that level of promoter. They pretty much have locked up touring. There's a few companies that own it. They've already made it known that you're going to earn 20% less than you did before. We'll tell you that right off the top. And the deals now, so nobody's getting those guarantees anymore. They've gone away by 20%. Now, that being said, if you do the work, then you can earn it in the back end, meaning you sell the tickets, but the best you're going to do is get to what you would have got before the back end before. Right. See what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the party's over is true. And
do you see that trickling down to salaries for crew guys? Is the fact that the band is making 20% less, does that mean that we're going to make 20% less?
Well, not necessarily, because there are other ways now. I can use an example with the Hollywood Vampires. The Hollywood Vampires have an incredible financial stream called VIP. And people pay $1,500 a pop.
Yes, I know.
To meet the three guys.
Yep.
Now, so we use merchandising and VIP to prop up the lack of income from the tickets, right? So my idea is not to penalize our road crew. It's the vendors that are going to hear from me.
Got it.
Not the people. And I'm saying this live on this. If you're a vendor, you're not getting what you're going to ask for right now.
Yeah. Well,
and
you know what?
Person, you are.
But that's hard too, because let's think about that. Now we have vendors that are also have not been working for 6 months. And so, the whole economy of all of it is going to be a hard time when we first get back to work, I think.
It is. It is. But I like to consider myself a man of the people here, and my heart is always with the working man. Actually,
mine too. Yeah.
And we are all that. We all came from that. And so, if you're a bus company, I'm not sitting there worrying about you. I'm not, you know, because I saw the gouging that went on last year. So I'm not sorry. I mean, listen, just tell you, I had the best bus possible 2 years ago, and it was $750 a day. All right, for that bus last year was $1,500. Same bus, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that.
I think though, what's going to be difficult is everybody is going to want to go back to work all at once, and so it's
already happened.
Yeah,
for the summer, next summer.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be tough. I think that vendors are going to charge appropriately in the sense of that, you know, hey, we've got 20 bands that all want us to work right now, and if you want to work with us, it's going to be money. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a negotiation that's going to be tough, I think. You know,
there's a lot of things that are going to happen. Tater, you go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask this real quick, Scott. We got so much time. I got so much stuff to ask.
It's okay, Tater. If we run out of time, I can edit. So if we lose you, Steve, if this
come back
and we go away,
100%
link again and come back, and
this is just important stuff. What I was going to ask is, are you going to have to now research even your best vendors to be sure they're liquid before you hire them? Now, what happens if we get out on the road and the lighting company, let's say, isn't as solvent as you think they are? Next thing you know, the truck door is locked because they didn't pay the bill from somebody else. Do you have to research that now?
Well, I haven't come across that yet, but I am a very loyal person, and I stick with the same people time and time and time again. And there's a reason for that. I won't go into vendors' names in this scenario, but I try to use the same people over and over again. And if there's financial problems, I'm going to hear about it. I got my ears to the ground. I'm going to know. And so I'm not overly concerned. And if there is a problem, I'm going to know about it before it gets to that point. But yeah, it's a good point. I don't know how these people are staying in business. I really don't.
But
we don't either. It's unprecedented times. And I think we're going to see mid-level down vendors. You're going to see, 60, 80% of those go away.
That's why I try to deal with the top end only.
And I understand you're dealing with the top end, and they're probably not going to have any issues, and we know that. But I was just wondering, like, if you think like these the smaller managers and smaller bands need to check that stuff, because if you're out there and your truck gets locked for a couple of days, you don't do a show for a couple of days because of this, your budget's gone, right? I mean, every show counts.
Like I could tell you another thing. These bus companies that have 150 buses. Do you think they're paying insurance on their buses right now? No. Think about it. I mean, just think of the cost to insure buses that aren't. I mean, so no. But I don't know what's happening next year. I'm as much in the dark as you are, but I am going forward on the hope that what we're doing will stay intact. But I really don't know, guys. I've got a Hollywood Vampires tour that's worth millions of dollars booked. It's sold 70% so far. I don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, I hope to hell it is.
I hope it is too. We have a couple more questions for you if you're willing to hang on for a little bit longer.
Please. I do this all day.
I was asked a question before, and I wanted to, it kind of went along with what you were just saying a minute ago with the making up the revenue and the VIP access and all that stuff. And if you have anything super secret, you don't have to share it, but or groundbreaking. But do you see, obviously the VIP thing came in, I don't know, 15 years ago now, or the velvet rope and all that kind of stuff. Do you see anything new? I love all access. Do you see anything, another revenue stream coming along the way anywhere?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
I do, because we just did it. I'll tell you something, which is, hold on a second. What happened? I touched my screen. Sorry, I touched. There's a thing that's happening in the music business right now, and the bubble hasn't burst yet and may not, but it is an enormous revenue stream, which actually can save many people. It is the acquisition and sale of publishing rights. Okay. And as you probably know, when initially, a few years ago, when you looked at the gig guide, there wasn't that much there. I mean, there was, if you look now in magazines like Classic Rock or something, there's pages of people touring. Like, there's just the drummer of Foghat, but he's the only guy who was ever in Fog, but they're touring.
Right.
Yes.
You get what I mean, right? So
Absolutely.
everybody is doing it. I mean, because the money from the royalties has dried up. That check doesn't come from publishing and sales. So they're going back on the road. Now, some bright sparks have come up with the idea that if they buy the publishing, they can control the rates of if you want to use the music in a film or TV. And so they are offering, there's these companies that are offering top dollar for you to sell your publishing.
Interesting.
Right. And if
out and out sell it.
But it's top dollar. I mean, you no longer own your music. But we've already, I can't go into names, but we've already pulled off one of these, and it is in the millions. Right. Okay. And one of the people that benefited from this called me and said, Steve, for the first time in my life, I feel secure.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And because people, they're companies and they buy them, they're assets. That's what it is. And if you haven't sold your publishing and you are successful, you could make a lot of money right now. Right. It's the new thing, by the way. So that's going on.
The publishing company is betting on the long game that they're going to recoup all that money from an artist that may their music will be sold to films and to whatever. And
yeah, it's not the publishing companies; it's the people that are like
the entity
venture
that's
capitalists or whatever they are. Yeah, I mean, they buy the writer's share of what he's written, and they're still published by whoever, but the rights are being sold, and for large amounts.
Interesting.
So instead of mailbox money trickling in at tiny little bits, you're getting a nice big lump sum like winning the lottery.
You get a one-time bang.
One-time bang. Hey, invest. If you invest that right, that probably is the best way to go.
Yeah, so, and there are certain people that it's worth millions, and a lot of people are thinking about it right now. And there's a few companies that are leading the way. And I'm thinking, guys, if you got the opportunity, get in while the getting's good, because you never know when the bubble's going to burst.
Of course,
because it may not be as lucrative as they all thought.
Yeah.
But while it's flavor of the week, get in there if you can.
Got it.
Take the money now, and if it does burst, maybe you can buy it back real dirt cheap and have it again, right?
Yeah. There you go. Said like a real manager. Well done. Yeah.
Well, I know people that have done that with companies. That's why I know people that have sold companies for millions. That other company ran it into the dirt, and they bought it back for nothing and rebuilt it again.
Rebuilt it. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what's happening on that.
I'm available too for managerial duties.
And you obviously have the goods, but I mean, as for touring, I must tell you, when I first started, the float was in my pocket. I mean, that was how it ran. I mean,
hopefully the front one.
It was the front one. But
okay, good.
I mean, it's such we didn't have cell phones and we didn't have faxes, and it's turned into this global phenomenon now. I mean, if I know for a fact that Rolling Stones, their tour accountant, he doesn't even go on the road.
Right.
He stays at home.
Of course.
And he does it like this.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of people that are pivoting to that because they're going to see that, hey, people are able to work from home now, and those types of jobs, even in the touring industry, are.
I'm already doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
I am, because sitting across a table or doing this when you're dealing with the numbers it doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't matter if you're there or not. Yeah.
It
totally.
doesn't. And of course, if you have the relationship and you're dealing with people you've been dealing with for years, it's all good.
Yeah.
You know,
for
we
sure.
all know each other.
Yeah.
I have definitely one question. I don't know, Tater, do you have any more questions? I have one.
Yeah, I have one more question. Go ahead first, and I'll do mine after you.
Okay.
All right.
I think that there may be a few people that are watching this that want to be you, and maybe don't want to go the tour manager route. Maybe just want to start managing bands or, whatever. Do you have any advice for those people? How does a kid get to be you?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asked this often, and I have the same answer, and I'm going to tell you right now. Number one, you have to be able to wear multiple hats with ease. You have to be able to do many things all at the same time. And you need to know a lot of people.
Yes.
You don't need to know how what you're doing works, but you need to know people that do. And so if you come to me as an artist and goes, I need a helicopter this afternoon, I know how to do it because I know people that know. And so you need to have the affinity to be able to wear multiple hats and to do what I told you last time, get you to do my bidding with a smile on your face. Very important. Because basically in tour management, you are basically getting people to do things you need to get done. And you do that by being a nice guy.
And it's always nice to have your whole crew, not just the manager, but the manager on down to the lowest position to represent your band in the right light, right?
Well, you just said something that there is no greater thank you than at the end of the night when the promoter or the building says, I just want to thank you and your guys. They've been an absolute pleasure to work with. And they say, is there anything more we can do for you? As opposed to when you get there, we're not selling tickets. Catering's the first thing that's gone. So when you hear them say that, that's worth its weight in gold to me, for people to thank you. And I tell everybody, listen, guys, you're representing not just the band, the manager, you're representing all of us. And so that's why you got to be on your A game.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean it.
So what I take from what you just said, it is about who you know and finding and having the Rolodex. I'm showing my age. I'm showing our age there. But having the Rolodex for the right numbers to call for the right people. I always say to people, listen, I'm not smart enough. What I do is surround myself with greatness. And the guys that I work with, I look to because I know that they're excellent at the specific thing that they do. So what I hear from you is getting to have those relationships with people, however you can do that. Have the number in your phone that, like you said, where you can get a plane at the Van Nuys Airport in 30 minutes. I mean, that's the number that you got to have. That's
right. And all the numbers along the way that do everything, basically. Yes. You need, because you're a fix-it guy in a way.
Yeah.
You are the guy that makes shit happen.
Yeah.
And that's
make sure your phone's backed up, right?
Listen, artists are notoriously impatient.
Yes.
In general. And what they want now.
Yeah.
Yes. That is very true.
That's a weird phenomena, and I know that you touch it more than we do on a regular basis, is the world that these millionaires live in is not the world that we necessarily live in. And so you have to be the bridge between the commoner and this person that lives in this world that's like, well, when I ask for my coffee, I get it in 3 minutes every single time.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's why some of these people go off the rails when it ends.
Yeah.
Because everything's done for them. Yeah. Like everything.
Everything.
And when it's not, some people don't adapt too well to that.
It's a tough reality. Yeah,
that's true.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But those people have assistants usually. I mean, if they're at that level,
yes,
then they So.
Love it. So
how are you at handling that crazy?
Well, because we only deal with a specific problem with that one artist. We're only dealing with the monitors of the front of house.
Yeah.
You're dealing with all of that, from maybe personal stuff, business stuff, touring stuff. So you're seeing the artist exposed in every level. We're just handling a tiny little chunk of it.
What I hope and always hope is with certain artists, please don't get bored, because when they get bored and they start dropping into the production office and helping, like, oh my God. I mean, there's a joke with a band who will not be mentioned, and they the joke is, this band needs 3 tour managers. 1, Steve Wood to set it up. 2, someone to say what so-and-so said needs to be done. And 3, Steve Wood to come back in and put it back to where it was originally. That's the truth.
We need to create a Steve Wood clone.
Yeah.
So there's 2 of you for sure.
One last question here to wrap it up. That was a pretty good way to end. Now, I know you used to play guitar a little bit, and Paul Geary's a drummer. Is there any little jam sessions that have broken out anywhere in the management office?
Well, yeah. In fact, I actually have here, I play guitar, and I have Joe Perry's Gold Top here. It's a special, it was made by Gibson, and it is a replica of his. I mean, he's got the nicks where his belt goes. I mean, it's a fantastic, and only I think 10 were made, and it's signed. But yeah, I play guitar a bit, and Paul still plays. And just recently, last year, he got married. And we went to
congratulations,
he's a happy
Paul.
Man. Yeah.
So the drum kit got kicked out of the house, didn't it?
Well, we went to his friend. Well, he still plays, actually. We went to Ernie Bark's house. Ernie's his best friend, and he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure you can look Ernie up on the internet. He's a fantastic man.
Yeah.
He's Paul's best friend. And so the stage was set up, and all of these musicians were there, and Paul got up and they were jamming, and there was half the band. Boston was there, and Nuno Betancourt got up. I mean, all these people, and it turned into a great big jam session. And when we did Christmas, Alice Cooper, as we're involved with the Hollywood Vampires, he does a thing called the Christmas Pudding. And it's done at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix. It's that round theater there.
Yep.
And Alice reformed the $1 Billion Babies for this event.
Wow.
And all these other musicians came in, and Paul got up and started jamming, and Johnny Depp was there. It was wonderful.
That's awesome.
And Paul does get to play, and has played many times with the Vampires, and so yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear he's still doing a little bit. Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, listen, Steve, man, thank you so much for giving of your time and being so generous. And I think particularly, there's some nuggets in here for younger guys.
I hope.
Yeah. If you're watching, guys, take to heart some of these things. You're hearing it from one of the top managers in the business. So,
I feel really proud now of this conversation. I thinking about it, I don't think any webinar out there where you're going to hear a manager of some of the biggest artists, or has been manager of some of the biggest artists in the world, talking candidly to crew about working, negotiating, what's going to happen. I mean, I don't think this information is out there. I feel glad. I'm pretty happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. Thank you so
much. Mainly because a lot of them don't know.
That's true.
But I'm deeply honored, by the way, and I can't tell you how much it's meant to me for you to ask me. So you have my eternal gratitude, both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming, and thanks for coming, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
We're coming up on 1,000 subscribers. We need you to push us over the top. Come on, subscribe to our YouTube
I'll do
channel.
my bit. And I want to thank you guys for being my friend. I mean, seriously,
man.
both.
In the end, that's what matters, isn't it?
That's what matters, Steve.
It's
And
100%, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be
All
safe,
right.
and we can't wait to see you in a big, smelly venue, sitting and catering one of these days.
Yeah.
And I mean this sincerely. I'm looking forward to the day when I try and hire you and you say no to me because you're working. And
Just
so,
like old times.
Just like old times.
All right, Steve. Thank you so much. All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.